r/askcredit asks. What was the incident in your high school? My high school was recently in the news because a virus got into our school system and held the school's data at ransom for $300,000. A football player with the last name Parham got punished for some shit and was no longer allowed to walk the stage for graduation. One day, a friend of his pulled up in a truck outside of the cafeteria during lunch, slammed on the brakes, jumped out, and proceeded to sprint inside. He streaked through half the cafeteria with a Spider-Man mask on and Free Parham painted on his bare ass. Staff tried to grab him and stop him, and despite him literally slipping on a piece of food and falling, he escaped valiantly, as any hero should. Eventually, Parham was once again allowed to walk the stage, although I'm sure the stunt wasn't the only reason for it. I went to a private school where you weren't allowed to have your phone on you. One day the vice principal bursts into a classroom and says in a panic, "Quick, I need to use someone's phone." 10 kids got detention and their phones confiscated. Screw you, Mr. Kiefer. What an asshole. 2 guys in my year decided to bring about 50 cabbages into school and start a cabbage fight in the science corridor. All hell broke loose and cabbage leaves everywhere. About 100 students joined in lol. Now you know who's the math problem guy. End of senior year, some kid was caught on video having sex with his freshman girlfriend in an abandoned stairwell. Everyone saw the video and talked about it for weeks. I think he was charged with sexual assault and was not able to graduate. Similar incident at my school. Teacher went through a kid's phone and found naked pics of his GF. He was 18 and she was 15, cops got involved. They made him register as a sex offender. He killed himself 2 years after it. Funny enough, few years later the teacher got busted cause he saved all the pics from the phone. We never had a school camp, because the last time they held one, 3 students got pregnant. That's some fucking camp. Ours was a sad one. Our boys' basketball team was traveling home from a game in inclement weather. The van caught some slush and lost control into the path of an oncoming tractor-trailer. The coach was driving and survived. He lost his wife and 7 students. A very sad tragedy. That's so fucked up. The survivor's guilt and just guilt in general that coach felt is probably unimaginable. Somebody threw a dead deer into the quad. I think they only got in trouble because they broke some lights on the roof while doing it. Some boys in the saxophone section of marching band made a Christmas card featuring them nude except for Santa hats and their sax covering their sax. They distributed to the whole band, which at our school was a pretty large number of people. School tried to confiscate them for being lewd, but of course they couldn't get them all. Besides, people had camera phones and Facebook. A guy went into the locker room during gym class and shit into another guy's backpack. Edit. Since so many people asked, this happened in a German school in 2014 or 2015. The guy didn't face any consequences, although almost everyone knew who did it. Our principal pretty much was like, yeah, let's not talk about this. The story also spread like a wildfire in our town and I had friends from different schools text me about it before I even came home that day. Went to a Catholic high school. The chapel was on the basement level, very secluded, and always left unlocked so students could go pray. No one ever did. One day a couple of students went in there to have sex on the altar. Turns out they ended up trying anal and the girl shit all over the altar. The chapel was locked after that. We had a lot of other incidents, but that was the one we can laugh about. Not high school, but I remember in elementary school, we got put on lockdown because someone thought there was a rabid fox on the field. It was a fat orange cat. Mondays, huh? Another school in the district had a student come to an assembly dressed in a KKK hood, so we all had to have a huge assembly and there were a bunch of posters around school about what to do if you feel discriminated against. Being racist aside, what the fuck was he thinking? We had an in-building sub who would be the first sub called and usually worked every day at the school. A few months into school he was arrested and fired because it turned out he was getting 2 students to blow him after school. They were 14. He was caught because one of the girl's parents had installed some program on their computer and found the AIM chats. He ended up killing himself before going to jail. Gym cooling system overheated and caught on fire during the homecoming parade. That and state police had to show up 2 years ago after an increase of freshman fights in the cafeteria. It got to the point to where there were some rumors that school security had to use a taser on one of the kids after a fight to subdue. The rumor was complete BS, and our football team had to cancel a home game and concede the game over potential threats. It was a crappy junior year, 2017 to 2018. Last year, in a middle school in my district, there was a baking contest. Some 8th grader put cum in a pastry and gave it to a teacher judge. She ate it and later ended up pressing charges. Also, for the senior prank at my school, someone brought in a giant dildo, 5+ foot tall, covered it with lube and glued it to the floor. My high school had a decade-themed talent show every year. They would do it in our auditorium, which had an orchestra pit underneath part of the stage. Close to the end of the show, a lot of people went out on the stage and started dancing, and the stage collapsed. Only a couple people were hurt, but one of my friends broke his pelvis and had to be in a wheelchair for a while. It must been a slow day for the news because it made all the way to the BBC, and Tosh Dotto did a bit on it. Edit http://www.cc.com/videoclips/7kesm2/Tosh 0 stage collapse. In my sister's high school, the assistant principal was arrested for dealing cocaine at the university downtown. I don't blame him, living on a teacher's wages and all. We were all called to an emergency assembly and told a student had died. Her friends were distraught and even the people who didn't know her went quiet. I think I remember a group of students putting together a type of memorial card. The whole morning was morbid. Until the dead girl arrived at school and didn't know what was going on. Someone found a gun on campus, and liked 3 or 4 posts on social media about shooting up the school. One of them actually caused a lockdown during class because the student was across the street from the school with a gun, according to someone who supposedly got on the police radio frequency. They never revealed the whole story to try to reduce rumors from spreading, which just lead to more rumors. It was pretty funny. Edit: oh, some girl set a trash can on fire to escape taking a test. Someone I knew tried to call in a bomb threat from a payphone during finals week. This was in the 90s and nobody took him seriously, and the school found out who it was and suspended him for like a couple days. I'd imagine now the school would go on lockdown, or just close and not let any students in, since he did it early in the morning. The kid would probably end up getting arrested by a SWAT team with a bomb squad nearby, cost the city a fortune, get jailed, or at least expelled, and their life would be ruined. When I was in 11th grade, the big incident was this 10th grader who sent a video to her boyfriend of her fingering herself while playing Bitches Love Sosa, and this video somehow got out, and at the basketball game between us and our rival school, they started singing /_______________________ Love Sosa and shit kicked off. Her boyfriend got thrown out the game. My middle school gym teacher, whose name was ironically Mr. Dick, was busted for soliciting sex from a teen. In middle school, my English teacher's name was Mr. Dickerson, and I was talking to an old classmate about how weird he was to me, and she pointed out that everyone in that class knew he was grooming me, and it only validated her point when I told her about how he would show up to birthdays with presents for me. 2 girls were fighting over boy. They were in the bathroom, in the same stall. While they were fighting, one of the girls took out a pair of scissors and stabbed the other in the eye. The girl who stabbed her was expelled, and the other girl turned out to be just fine and went back to school like everything was normal. The creepy part was, my classroom was the closest one to the bathroom and we didn't hear anything. We just saw the cops. It creeps me out to think it happened a couple feet away from me. This kid was doing pull-ups on a door frame in our wood shop, and some of his friends thought it would be funny to place a pipe bender under his ass. When he finished his pull-ups and dropped off the frame, the pipe bender went straight up his butt and tore his rectum open. Kid didn't graduate cause he spent so much time in the ER, and now he has to shit in a bag. Fuck, I cringed so hard. Kid punched a school cop, he pepper sprayed the entire hallway of kids including me going to class, tons of PPL ended up going to the hospital. Missed my class though lol. Someone took a massive shit in the boys' bathroom. Like huge. Like so big that there is still a debate about whether or not the shit was actually human or if it was smuggled in somehow. So notable that everyone from my consumer EC class got up individually to go to the bathroom and dropped their jaw in awe at the absolute spectacle that was this shit. Multiple jokes were made about it at school events and to this day no one knows who did the poop. The cool guy Spanish teacher got arrested for fucking students. Also the athletic director got caught bribing the families of good athletes to be there, like 4 people from my year were in the NBA. 2 kids got caught fucking in the ceiling. Like they took panels off the ceiling, climbed into the small space there, and fucked. Imagine you in the middle of Math 9 and you hear moaning in the ceiling. In my primary school someone had spread shit around the bathroom which they then blamed on me. Word got around and it was known by teachers and students that I had spread shit around the bathroom, even though I was in class. My teacher denied that though. I left that school rather soon after the shit-spreading incident.